vital services for surviving and thriving. Every month, 100% San Juan County shares projects, news, and recipes with the News and Choose newsletter presented by the W.F. Kellogg Foundation. Find out more at 100nm.org. KSJE is supported by San Juan Regional Medical Center, your community hospital serving the Four Corners. With a 115-year history of improving the quality of life, health, and care of individuals and families throughout our region. When life happens, San Juan Regional Medical Center is here to serve everybody. Find out more at sanjuanregional.com. KSJE is supported by 100% San Juan County, working to make San Juan County a place where 100% of families can thrive. The mission to strengthen capacity to ensure each child, student, and family has access to vital services for surviving and thriving. Every month, 100% San Juan County shares projects, news, and recipes with the News and Choose newsletter presented by the W.F. Kellogg Foundation. Find out more at 100nm.org. The follow.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Megan Culp, along here with Scott Micklin, Scott Duran, and Abstentia.
Right. He's not here.
He's not here.
He didn't get the memo. No, he did get the memo, but he has other stuff happening today.
Well, I think it's his birthday.
His birthday was this week.
Yes.
So yes,
good.
He's having a
we are
early
grateful
weekend.
for that.
Yeah, exactly. He's a year older, so he can stop making the old jokes.
That's right.
Right?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if you'll ever stop being the target for his old jokes.
No, that's probably true.
Yeah. I'll never catch up.
I'll still be older. That's true. It's true. But anyway, we hope he's having a good time, whatever he's doing, probably sleeping. But we're here. We're here, yeah. And it's time for the show, right?
It's time for the show. I was really excited. I look forward to it every Friday morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When, unless you have something else to do.
Right.
Like a conference or something. But,
yeah.
Something else other work related.
That's right.
But it's okay.
Right. Other than that.
You stay focused. I appreciate that. So there you go. But That's Interesting, everybody. It is the show that asks the question, what is interesting in your world? And then asks you to call us and tell us about it. The phone number is on the screen if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube right now. 505-566-3909. 505-566-3909. The phone lines are open, waiting for you. We've got plenty of capacity.
Yes, we do.
So give us a call, and we'll get you on the air. Or if you just want to call in and say hello, if you're Scott Duran and want to call in and tell us what you're doing, that's fine, too.
That's fine, too. And actually, I have been waiting for, we've been doing this show for a while.
Yes,
and
we have.
I really want to hear from that man from New York that was writing that children's book. Remember
he called like once or twice, right?
He did,
yeah.
And I was really excited because he was talking about a child with dyscalculia, which is dyslexia with numbers, and it's like a lesser acknowledged learning disability. It took a while for that learning disability to become clear to people that that's a thing. So
right,
I think it would be really helpful for
people.
Yeah.
Call us back.
Call us back. I want to know, is your book done?
Right.
I want to buy it.
Yeah.
So.
And it was one of those odd things that I don't know how he got our number or if he just was watching and just got, called
internet.
from New York. I know. Really?
Yeah.
Does New York have the internet?
The New York has a lot of internet.
Good for them, New York.
Yes.
So anyway, but yeah, we'd love to hear from folks in town, out of state. Call us up.
Yes.
So
please do.
We are an equal opportunity talk show.
Yes, we are.
So there's that.
Both in topic and in caller.
That's true.
Yes.
That's true. But yeah, so anyway, in the meantime, what's been going on for you?
Well, a lot's been going on. I think the thing that I wanted to bring today is, I definitely go down rabbit holes like before bed. And sometimes I don't even remember it until like I see like what I had searched in Google like the night before,
Oh, your search history?
If I search history, it's like 11 p.m. and I'm like,
is it sobering?
Yeah, it depends on the night.
Okay.
So like last night was a very deep like philosophical existential thing, but the night before that, I was thinking about like, I was thinking about like lowbrow America. I think I had gone to the dollar store or something, and I was noticing all the different like snack foods, like Hostess and all that.
Right.
And then I remembered that,
Which are awesome.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I remember they're so awesome, in fact, that they threw a Twinkie in the Millennium Time Capsule.
Oh.
And then I realized that I didn't know anything about the time capsule other than the Twinkie. So I'm like, what else did they
What
throw
else is in there? Okay.
And like, what was the motive? So the Millennium Time Capsule, to fill everybody in, was during the Clinton administration in 1999. They decided to do a national time capsule that people would open. I think it's what is it?
2100?
2100.
Maybe
yeah.
another 100 years?
It's
or
another
longer?
100 years.
Or not 1,000, not 3,000.
No, it's
3,000.
No, it's 100 years.
Okay,
I think
all
it's
right.
2100.
All right.
And I mean, it's a little different than what you usually think of a time capsule as, like a plastic bin or something that you bury. It's a little more advanced than that because there's a lot of things in there that needed a lot of preservation, right?
Sure.
You don't want to lose some of those papers
Right.
and stuff. But it was really interesting because they polled everyone from these major intellectuals or public figures or musicians and artists and stuff to school children. So
Cool.
they had both the adults, and then they had these kids, and they chose these teachers that had been given teaching awards that year. They chose their classes.
Got it.
So it was actually really moving. So they had everything from Ray Charles's sunglasses to the Twinkie to a piece of the Berlin Wall. And the Berlin Wall actually came up in like 4 different people. It was like
Right.
Reagan and the former director of the CIA, maybe George Bush.
Well,
I
that
don't
had
know.
just came down, right? At
It
that
had
time,
just
around
sort of.
2000, right? I can't remember back
No,
in
Berlin
history.
Wall was like 89 or something.
Yeah, you're right.
But it was such an important piece of
True.
history.
True. Okay.
So,
Thank you
and then
for
the kids were amazing. Like the kids were, what do you hope for in 100 years? And they were like, oh, a cure for AIDS. And then you had a mix between kids that said, like a cure for hunger. And then you had other kids that were like, my job that I want when I grow up is to help people. So you have both of those things coexisting, which I found touching. And I just loved this mix of popular culture, historical stuff, the technology. I think it was really, the themes were technology because they threw in like a cell phone and something to do with like MS-DOS or something. I'm not a big tech, I don't know much, but they threw in a lot
Probably
of tech
something
stuff.
internet related or computer related, right?
Yes,
Sure.
because that was the thing. This was
2000.
the age of the internet.
Well,
this
yeah.
was the age of mobile.
It was Y2K in 1999.
Y2K.
We were all going to...
We were going to disappear. They
Yeah.
might not have known that
Right.
the time capsule would survive. So yeah,
Okay.
just really cool national project, and it's actually in the National Archives is where it's at, and they're
Makes sense.
protecting it for the next 100 years.
Sure.
And I love so much. I just love this country. I love that could be one of the coolest things of the Clinton administration was the Millennium Time Capsule. I'm not saying there weren't, like Bosnia was a pretty big deal. Like all these things that were a
Okay.
big deal.
Right.
But how cool is that?
That is cool.
And it also really demonstrated, if you read all of these letters and you read even the Berlin Wall piece of the wall, it's so much of an appeal to optimism, which this country is uniquely optimistic. If you think about
Compared to many others, it's
Yes.
true, right? That's, I think, what people are always, maybe foreigners are always kind of surprised or just like confused about why Americans are so optimistic, right? About the country, the future,
yeah.
all that, right?
Yeah, and I mean, if you think about even the founding was increatly optimistic, right?
Yeah.
It was like, we're going to go to this foreign land, we're going to figure it out when we get there, and then we're going to take on the greatest world power, one of the greatest that the world has ever seen, aside
Right.
from maybe like Alexander and Rome. But like, so anyway, it's just really...
Cool.
It was cool.
That's cool.
I
And there's
like,
a Twinkie in there, so we
and
won't
there's
go
a
hungry.
Twinkie in there, and I
We
don't know.
won't starve in 100 years.
It was a nice
It'll still be
thing
good
to
to
end
eat
on.
in 100 years.
Well, there's a Twinkie controversy.
Oh,
So,
okay, all right.
so they put the Twinkie in there when they did the big, like, this is our Millennium Time Capsule, and then National Archives was like, yo, that Twinkie ain't gonna last 100 years. And so
Oh.
some of the aides
They took
just
it out.
split it,
Oh.
and they ate it.
Okay.
But I just love that. So you had the lowbrow, and then this massive,
Nice.
Berlin Wall is a massive world event. So, just the optimism. It's just nice.
Yeah, cool.
And you think about where we're at now and and how much strife there is, and
Right.
compared to all of the optimism that preceded it. And I just hope that we can get back to a place of good intent
Right.
and goodwill towards
Right.
each other, and just kind of make our way back to that place,
Yeah.
So.
Well,
yeah.
guess what?
What?
Guess what? You can do that on November 12th.
Oh, voting? Day?
No.
What is November 12th?
At the Farmington Museum, they are going to be burying a Farmington time capsule to celebrate the city's 125th anniversary.
Really?
Yes.
How exciting.
Just came in yesterday.
Museum, November 12th, what time?
3:30 to 5:30. It's the sealing day. That's when they're going to seal it up and bury it, right?
How exciting
But I
is
think
that?
they're looking for stuff.
I don't have any stuff, really.
Oh, I bet you do.
Well,
if you think
I mean,
about it.
For Farmington?
Yeah.
I don't know if I have stuff for Farmington.
Well,
I'll look.
but you're part of Farmington, so,
I'll see what I can find.
But they're looking for different items and things from the community, right, that the museum is going to, I guess, evaluate and make sure it kind of fits, right, what
Right.
they're looking for. But they're trying to get, let me quote the press release here that just came out yesterday, aims to capture a true snapshot of Farmington in 2026. Local businesses, civic partners, and community organizations interested in contributing a small item that reflects their role, achievements, and impact in 2026 can submit an application online, at farmingtonnm.gov/125.
How fun is that?
So there you go.
Hey.
So
love it.
there you go. And
I'm
you'll
a
know
big
more about
time
that between now and
capsule fan.
November as they get ready to seal the time capsule. And I assume it'll be sealed for 100 years, maybe more. Who knows?
We did a time capsule
Yeah.
in Connecticut, but I wonder where they buried it. Yeah, for when I moved away from Connecticut, I was working with a bunch of high school youth and middle school youth, but the high schoolers and I did like a time capsule. And
Okay.
anyway, I'm a big fan.
Cool.
And of course, we'll never see it opened. The Millennium one, we'll never see it
Well.
opened. But
If my head's in a jar, I might see it. I'm just saying.
like Charles Guiteau, they put his head in a jar.
That's right.
Not his head, his
Like
brain.
But
yeah.
Or the Simpsons reference.
Or the
just
Simpsons.
whatever.
I love
just carry it around.
The Simpsons.
Just let me. Yeah.
I wonder if the Simpsons were actually featured in time. It would make sense. They're a pretty big staple of pop
True.
culture.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay. I like
so
it.
that was fun.
I like that. Very good.
Yay, optimism.
I like optimism. Exactly.
And
exactly.
innovation.
If you have an optimistic story, you can give us a call and tell us about it. Or if you have an idea for what to put in the City of Farmington time capsule, let us know.
Yeah, that's cool.
Exactly. Give us a call, 505-566-3909. 505-566-3909. That's interesting on KSJE this morning. And give us a call.
Give us a call.
There you go. Maybe a cassette tape of this program.
Hey,
That would be an old.
Not a bad idea. KSJE should submit something.
Yeah.
We're a big part of it.
Something.
We'll find something.
I don't know what. Yeah. DVD? USB drive?
There's gotta
Flash
be,
drive?
No, there's got to be something.
Something?
KSJE hat.
A hat?
A Radio Free Saturday Morning T-shirt. Actually, we're
We have a
almost
few
out
of
of
those.
those.
Are we almost out?
Isn't that crazy?
What?
Finally.
Have we been selling them or just giving them away to people? Okay.
Everybody who's a guest host gets a T-shirt.
Oh, I see. That's where they go.
That's where they go.
Okay.
But yeah.
Cool.
Anyway, we should do that though. That's fun.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, yeah. So that's that.
Right. Okay. Very good.
I have another item, but you probably have an item.
I do. Let me see if I can find it real quick. I think I
Okay.
can. It's still there. There it is. This is from cybernews.com. And so it just caught my attention. The headline says, are you ready? AirTag proves Amazon is destroying rare books to train AI. How many boxes does that check?
Wow.
AI, AirTags, Amazon, right? All those things. So what the story is, right, is that this group called 404 Media tracked a rare book to Amazon's Las Vegas AI training facility where books are reportedly dismantled and scanned to train their AI. And employee discussions then suggested that Amazon scans the barcodes and the ISBNs, that's the identification number for all books, right? Raising concerns that AI firms may seek to digitize vast print collections. And the practice is worrying critics because rare books may be destroyed even as companies argue that purchased copies can be used for AI training, which is apparently what happened. Like Amazon legitimately bought this book, so they own it. They can do whatever they want with it. But I think book lovers are just horrified that, these books are getting destroyed in order to help train these AI systems about literature and grammar and all the other
that's
and different themes,
interesting.
I guess, too, right, of the stories.
Yeah.
So
it would be
discuss.
a better route to. Well, I don't have a problem with AI. I actually refer to it as the Library of Alexandria at my fingertips. Like there's something nice about it. But it's always going to be with every. I think it was Kevin Kelly, who is this big tech guy, and he's also really wise. And he would say with every new technology, new problems arise, and then technology comes to fix those problems. And that's like how this works. So with every new technology, you have to figure it out. I'm sure people felt the same way just about the computer, period, right?
Right.
Especially if you were a typist and all of that. But so, I mean, it would have been better, especially, I mean, Amazon, it's not like Amazon's hurting for money. Like, you could have kept the rare book and did like a copy of that book
That's what
to
I was
feed
thinking.
into the machine.
Right.
Right?
You would
I mean,
think. I don't know. I mean,
like,
I don't know why
you
couldn't.
have to use the first printing, especially
Yeah.
if it was like a first printing of some sort of major piece of literature. Like,
Right.
you don't want to destroy like a Charles Dickens first printing.
Yeah.
Right?
It's
So-
almost like book burning to me.
A little
bit,
bit.
right? That you're destroying it.
I mean, I'm sure they would say, well, it's in the machine, so it's not destroyed.
Correct.
But I don't know.
And again, they legitimately bought it, so
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah,
You know.
I mean, if that's what they want to do, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know why you have to go with the first printing.
Yeah. Well, if it's rare, just
Maybe they didn't
just
print
not
anymore.
around. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's the thing.
interesting.
And they're trying to find those different.
It is amazing what
versions.
AI can do in such a quick time.
That's true. I'm always surprised by it. I don't use it a lot, but when I have used it, I'm always amazed that I can just put in a bunch of stuff and it'll analyze it and give me back the response in like seconds,
I use
not
it,
minutes,
yeah.
seconds. I mean,
I
it's
use it a
amazing.
lot. Because like I use it to help tutor.
Uh-huh.
So, and then like when I'm doing schoolwork at like 10 o'clock at night and there's like no real tutor around.
Right.
So I use it to help tutor, and then I also use it even if I'm writing some.
So this is for tutoring you.
tutoring me.
Okay. 'Cause-
Yeah.
And you're taking some pretty high level stuff.
I'm taking really hard classes. So I could, like, for example, when I took physics, it was like, here's this problem. I'm going to go through it step by step, but where I get caught, can you teach me the next step? And so it's not like I used it to take a test or something.
I was going to ask you. You're not
No.
using it to get the
grade.
to do the
No,
work for you.
no, no,
You're
no.
using it
It
to
was-
help you
yeah.
find the solution.
Help me
right?
find the solution and,
Yeah.
and for like homework, not for like graded
Tests and
stuff.
stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's
A good distinction,
fair.
kids.
Yes.
Just letting you know.
Yes, it's a fair distinction. And then I write pretty decently. Like that's kind of, I like it, but I'll use it for, hey, I'm writing this thing. Here are the directions I'm thinking about going. Here are the themes I'm thinking about going. What do you think? And then it'll be like, oh, well, that's too many themes in one speech or whatever.
right.
So why don't you
Maybe
pick a
refocus
theme?
or-
Yeah.
Okay.
And so it's kind of like an editor, but it's not doing the writing for me.
Right.
So there's ways to use it ethically and there's ways to use it unethically, and I think that's the whole point about this conversation right now with AI is like, how do we keep it ethical
Right.
and not
Especially
let it take over?
in education. We're doing a lot of those conversations
Yeah.
here at San Juan College about, students should be taught how to use AI because in the future jobs, they may have to use it as a tool to do the job that they're hired to do, right? So how do you use it ethically, and efficiently, but also not be maybe, tempted to use it to cheat or to
Yeah.
do the work for you and things like that, or to take a shortcut. That's not what maybe it's used for or should be used for.
No, and it's about, there's a whole like prompting thing, like strategy behind it. And all
Sure.
of that. So,
But that goes way back to even the internet search words,
Bar,
right?
yeah.
When you used to make searches and you'd get tons of hits that didn't really relate to what you're
Yeah.
looking for. And people, I think, started to learn how to maybe ask the search engines in a way to maybe get a more refined results that was helpful.
Well,
and you don't have to scroll through a million hits to find what you want.
And you have to do that in library databases too.
True.
Like if you're doing an online journal database, you have to know what keywords and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean these things. I think my American optimism. I think it'll all be
okay.
I think it'll all turn out fine. But
yes, we can.
I do think though, like programmers. So I think about like all the things I had to do to be ordained, right? Like in the denomination that I was ordained in, you had to do a full psych eval, like an all-day psych eval, and all this stuff to make sure that like when you get put in this position where you're going to be dealing with vulnerable issues, that you're not, like a narcissist or something. And I was like, I think programmers. Like we should start requiring that of programmers.
Interesting.
So that we can kind of weed out ill intent. Mm-hmm. And it's not to say you have to be perfect, but it is to say if you have some sort of pathological lying about you or something like that, let's not put those people in this position because this is the new vulnerability. You have a super machine that can work quickly and more intelligently than any human on the planet. So shouldn't those people be good people?
Yeah.
Are they taking an ethics class? I don't know why the White House doesn't have an ethicist on their committee. They have everybody else. They have a Secretary of Agriculture, a Secretary of...
Oh, you mean like a cabinet level?
A cabinet level
position? Wow.
They need a cabinet level ethicist.
What are you running for, Megan Culla?
I would like to be your cabinet level ethicist.
I see. Well, you would do it. I think you do very good. You are, yeah.
It would be
beyond. You are beyond reproach, Megan Culla.
Oh, well, that's not true, but it would be helpful, right, to just have somebody that's
Sure.
there to help with that.
And I think it doesn't matter who's in the office. It would be helpful for anybody.
They should have had this from the beginning.
Any leader, anyone
Yes.
in any country, really, to
100%.
have someone in the room saying, "Excuse me,"
Yeah.
just point of order. Maybe rethink what you're talking about.
No, it should have been, this should have been a cabinet position from the start
Interesting.
of cabinet positions.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and I'm surprised that somebody like Lincoln didn't do it. Like, he just feels like Lincoln feels like the guy that would have done it.
Well, and
So.
and maybe it wasn't quite. I don't know how big his cabinet was. It may not be as big as it is now.
True.
It may have just been, Secretary of War, and that was about it, or Commerce, and that's
Yeah.
what else do you need? So maybe
Yeah.
not. Maybe
what
not.
else do you need but war and money?
Yeah. Well,
No, it's true.
in 1863.
Yeah, I mean, there were some pressing, but just think about, he had to deal with the slavery issue, right?
Sure.
Maybe an ethicist would have been helpful in figuring that dynamic out, and you had a country divided, and how do you have those conversations? And anyway,
Right.
He did have that one guy who was the major, what was his name? He was a major proponent for abolition, and he always tried to push harder he was kind of like a radical.
Interesting.
So
I'm trying
he
to
was
remember.
probably a little bit of like that guy, but
Could have been,
yeah.
right? Because again, I mean, that was a tough decision to go to war or to,
Over that,
over that
yeah.
issue, or to make that an issue, right? To go to war over, so
Yeah.
knowing that people are going to die,
Yeah.
and families would be fighting families, kind
Yeah.
of thing. So
Yeah.
interesting. Wow, we've gone to Civil War now.
Yeah.
In the show today. This is how the show goes, everyone.
I wonder who
Yeah.
do I write to Anthropic or something and be like, an OpenAI and be like, hey, can we start doing psych evals?
Hey, why not?
They might be like, oh, yeah.
Well, and maybe it'd be nice if they're already doing it and just not telling us
Maybe
about
they are
it,
doing
and
it.
that would be nice.
But it's weird that they wouldn't tell us, right? Because there is so much concern. It's weird that they wouldn't come out and say, hey, here's our process
Right.
for picking these people,
Yeah.
right?
Well, and I
So-
think some of these companies used to be a little more transparent than maybe they are now because
Yes.
they're worried about other companies
Well,
stealing
yes, they're in competition.
thunder. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
So
what we're kind of seeing
There's a
now.
lot of secrets, yeah. But yeah. Anyway, I mean, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
So
Very much so. Well, and again, we're only going to hear more about it. I mean, I think AI is here to stay, obviously, and using it more and more in everyday life. And I think, just like the internet, as that came about, was brand new and people were kind of worried about it, but we've kind of grown to accept it and, deal with it and learn about its strengths and weaknesses and flaws and whatever. Same with AI, I think, down the road, as it comes on board more frequently, but we'll see what happens.
yeah.
But,
Yeah, we'll see
but it'd be
what
nice to
happens.
do it, ethically, as you're saying, and maybe have some guardrails so we kind of know where we're going with it.
We need some guardrails.
Yeah.
And maybe, to your point, maybe they have them. I don't know. Maybe.
Well,
It
Yeah.
seems like it's moving so quickly, and I think that's the concern is
Yeah.
is there time to put in the guardrails, or are you guys just, it's a mad
See ya.
dash to win.
Right.
Basics to win, So, and even ChatGPT, I've been using it for a while, and, like every 3 months or something, there's like a new feature.
sure.
So
Oh yeah, it's amazing
they have
how
to
quickly.
keep up with it.
Right. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Interesting.
I know.
Give us a call. Do you have a thought
Yes.
about AI or the Civil War or Abraham Lincoln? Give us a call and let us know. 505-566-3909, 505-566-3909. Or you could just keep listening to Megan and I because we're somewhat entertaining
Hopefully.
and somewhat interesting. So there's always that. But we always want to open the phone lines and hear from the audience too on
Yes.
our program like this. So, okay. What else? What else is going on?
So superstitions. I want to talk about superstitions.
Oh, okay.
Because I've been in that world lately.
Really?
Sort of.
Oh, okay.
I mean, so I always say that, like, I do distinguish between religion and superstition, but I do think that the major difference is really just sort of the staying power of the institution, kind of. Like, so with religion, you have doctrines and creeds and sort of these agreed upon sets of belief, and then you have a very, very long history of different communities living within that structure.
Okay.
And
All right.
superstitions can be very, very old too, like these old wives' tales and these tall tales and stuff. But
Sure.
but both involve the supernatural, right? So I'm watching this. I heroically avoided Apple TV for a while, and I say heroically just because like you start signing up for all these streaming services, and before you realize you're paying a lot of money. But anyway, recently,
but now you're in, and they got you.
I fold it. They got me.
Yeah.
So there's a show on right now called Widow's Bay, and it's about this small New England island. And I do love the island culture, especially these like crabbing and lobstering towns or something, because they have there's a type of hardiness.
Sure.
To island people, because they have all these crazy weather events and stuff.
Well, they're kind of self-reliant.
They're self-reliant.
You can't wait for help from somewhere else because
From
there
the
is no
mainland.
somewhere else. Because
Yeah.
I mean, it takes a while to get to you.
It takes a while to get to you and
Sure.
say there's a storm and you can't have the mainland come to you, whatever.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
anyway, but it's basically all about like this mayor who's trying to reinvigorate the town and make it into this tourist attraction, and then all of these like old sailor superstitious tales start happening, and they start happening to him, and so he's like trying to figure it out. But so it's just I'm very interested in whether there's actual veracity to these things, in whether it's almost like a kind of like you will seek and you will find type of thing, which is
Right.
borrowing from religion. That's a religious concept, but
Right.
what you seek you will find, and we kind of know, even people that are not religious nor superstitious, they know that, because if you think about even perspective, if I'm seeking good things today, I'm going to find them, not because more of them are happening, but because my head is looking for them.
Right.
If I seek negative things today, I will also find them, right?
Right. I've heard that
So-
too, like when you're maybe going to buy a car or something,
Yeah.
and you start seeing that model of car like everywhere, just
Everywhere.
because you're paying
Primed.
more attention to it.
Yeah, you're primed.
Yeah.
So I had gone to. So I told you and Duran this, but when I
Off
went
the air.
off the air.
Yes.
When I went to California, I was at the conference. That's why I
Right.
was gone that one Friday.
Yes.
And it was a homelessness reentry conference. So it was really good for like the work that we're trying to do in San Juan County and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
But we had our last day. We on our own dime. We stayed like an extra day to just like hang, right?
In California.
So, in California.
That's what you
'Cause
do.
it's like I
Yeah.
mean, how often do we get to go? So we went down to Venice Beach because I was like, I told my coworker, I was like, you have to see Venice Beach because it's just like a show. I mean, it's just weird and all of that. So we go to Venice Beach. She seems a palm reader, and she's like, I want to do that. And I'm like, cool, do it. She's like, I want you to do it with me. And I'm like, I don't know. I mean,
Right.
let me see what the palm reader says to you to see if she's like a charlatan or if there's something real about this.
Okay.
So she reads the coworker's palm, and it's stunningly accurate. I mean, it is accurate to a level of, because I believe really intuitive people can pick up on a lot just by watching how a person approaches you, watching
Right.
how they dress, watching how their face. And
Sure.
however, she was going to a deeper level where it's like, she said, you're in a helping profession. It's like, how do you know that, right? And of course, my coworker is in a helping profession. So
Right.
anyway, by the end of it,
So she cut through your cynicism.
she cut through my cynicism. And
Yeah.
so by the end of it, my coworker looks at me and she's like, I mean, was that inaccurate? I'm like, no, that's pretty accurate. So I let her read my palm. It was stunningly accurate.
Whoa.
Same thing with like, how do you know that? How are you? And it's not like a future telling. It's not even a past. It's just pointing out these different things about your life that like nobody should know.
Right.
And certainly not from like, hi, how are you?
Sure.
Like that level of entry. And so, but she
Well, it's
was
not like she's
saying-
not. She's just guessing. I mean, she's looking at your hand, and
She's looking
apparently
at the
there's things
hand.
on your hand that
There-
are
yeah.
tells
Yes.
about you.
Yes,
I
I mean,
guess, and she's interpreting that.
right. She's interpreting the lines and stuff on your hands and
Yeah.
whatever, but it was shockingly accurate.
Whoa.
And so I left being like, huh,
Did she know you were a radio host?
no,
Oh, sorry.
yeah.
Okay.
But she did say something about a breakthrough in October, which for me felt really good. I was like, ooh,
Oh.
I don't know what. I have an idea of what
And
I
she
hope
called it that,
is.
not an October surprise, but a breakthrough in
breakthrough.
October. Okay. Okay.
Oh, November. Breakthrough in November.
Okay. All right.
But yeah, she said a breakthrough in November, and I have an idea about what I want that to mean. However, a breakthrough either way is positive. Like whatever it is,
Okay.
So I'm like,
hopefully not your hot water heater or something, a breakthrough.
yeah, exactly.
So-
So I'm holding on to that. But everything else she said was pretty
Okay.
accurate.
Wow.
So
All right,
anyway.
well, audience, stay tuned until
Yeah.
November. We'll see what the breakthrough
We'll
is.
see if the palm reader in Venice Beach was
How
correct.
about that?
It was
What was her
crazy.
name? Does she have a cool name?
I don't
Like-
even know
like
what her name
Madame
was.
Yoda or
No,
something?
I don't
or
even know.
no?
That would be funny.
Yeah.
I don't even know what her name was. It was so weird. It was like she was out on her like front porch.
Did you get a receipt? Come on.
Right, exactly. Oh
Did
man.
Did she take Square? I mean, did she?
She did.
Oh, all right. Well, there you go.
She did take
It's
word,
California.
Like, ding, like
Yeah.
tap the card.
Thank you.
Thanks for reading my palm. Tap.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it was just interesting. But and that got me on this whole rabbit trail of like, like where does truth come from? Are people, channeling, so to speak, different things? And I don't know. And I feel
Wow.
like everybody kind of, regardless of what you think about religion, palm reading, superstitious tales from an island, doesn't matter.
Right.
I think the point is that we all have, there are times I think when people say you think about calling somebody and then, you do or you don't, but you realize that person was having a hard day.
Right.
And you're like, wow, why was I thinking about you today?
No, that's true.
Right?
That's a little freaky, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
exactly.
stuff happens.
That's true.
And so it's like, what are we channeling out
Yeah.
there?
That intuition.
Yes.
That, all those different types of things there's really no clear explanation.
No.
As to why those things happen. So very interesting. I was going to tell a quick story, and then
Yes.
I know we're running out of time. But I worked for a while out on the eastern shore of Maryland.
Yeah.
And near the Chesapeake Bay, and
There you
there are
go. See?
islands in the bay.
Yes.
And one of those, or maybe more, I'm trying to remember. I know at least one. The people have lived there for so long, they still have the old English accent from like the Mayflower, like
Wow.
English, kind of that.
Wow.
Old, and because they're just that same group of people basically, or and a few extras that come in, but they were still, if you go, you could visit it and talk to them, and they have that kind of different, just old English way of speaking. After
That's
all these years, because they're so isolated, is the point, right?
Wow.
And so
That's
yeah.
incredible.
Anyway,
I'd
when you
like
talked
to-
about how isolated being on an island is, there you go.
Yeah, I'd like to go visit there just for that.
I know.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it's beautiful too, but
Right.
just for that,
But the
'cause
whole,
that would be wild.
Very fishing centric,
Yeah.
crabbing, of course, Maryland, Chesapeake Bay, all that stuff. But yeah, and the storms are epic,
Epic.
I'm sure. Right.
Yeah,
in
they
the
just
bay.
know how to do it.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Exactly.
So you gotta love there, and there's a type of pride with these people, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, these old English, like I've been here since 16,
Right.
whatever. But
Yeah,
that's not
no,
how they
that's
sound
it.
because that's like a country accent. But
Right.
yeah,
But
I don't
we
even. Yeah, I want to see that.
Yeah, it's
Huh,
interesting.
okay.
So, anyway, there you go. Well, on that note, we're out of time.
Yeah, this is a
Sorry.
good note to end on.
Sorry to say.
Chesapeake
but-
Bay.
Yeah.
if you're listening.
Yeah. Blue crab, go Maryland.
Go Maryland.
Exactly. Old Bay seasoning, all that stuff. Right?
Yeah.
So there you are. Before we go, just a couple of notes. A reminder, again, we invite you to check out the KSJE Radio app. It's available, of course, at the App Store. And on Google Play, you can get our podcast. You can listen live and all those things in your pocket, on your device. So stay connected when you're on the go and check it out. So there's that
Absolutely.
happening. And tomorrow you're back.
Tomorrow I am back. Radio Free Saturday morning, your eclectic music mix of the four corners. Each week I bring a different theme, and then I curate a playlist within that theme, and you hear some stuff you've never heard before every
See?
time. So
Is there a co-host tomorrow?
no co-host tomorrow, just
Okay.
me.
All right.
And the theme, speaking of these island places and stuff,
Right.
is rural America.
Oh,
So, and not
Okay.
necessarily music that comes. There's some music that comes out of rural America, but it's more like the theme of rural America. So you will hear
singing about rural America?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you will hear songs that sing about rural America as well as songs that came from it. So
All right.
yeah,
John Denver?
no John Denver, but like other people that you would associate, like Bruce Springsteen, like you would
Sure,
associate with
right.
like. But then everything from like, and that's
John Denver's too mainstream,
Pennsylvania,
isn't he?
Steel Town. Well, so is Springsteen, but yeah, like I do
Okay.
like John Denver. Anyway,
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Rural America tomorrow.
Yes.
2 hours of Radio Free Saturday morning as you're getting up and getting your Saturday started.
Yes.
9 to 11. Immediately following that, we remind you of Scott Duran's World Beat Show. I think it's a best of program tomorrow because he is not here and will be gone, I think, all weekend. So check that out. But it's music from somewhere around the world, probably
Yes.
not North America. But check it out.
Check it out.
Enjoy another hour of local programming tomorrow, 11 a.m. to noon here on KSJE as well. And I think that will wrap up our show this morning. So we thank you for joining us and putting up with us and listening to our stories. And we'll be back next week. So have a good week, Megan.
Have a good week.
All right. We'll see you next time. Have a good weekend, everybody. Stay safe.
This is the Engines of Our Ingenuity. From Houston Public Media, News 88.7.
Today, the forgotten lecture in your math course. The University of Houston's College of Engineering presents this series about the machines that make our civilization run and the people whose ingenuity created them. What engineer doesn't remember dozing off in math class when the professor took up existence and uniqueness? Those words have a special meaning in math. Not all problems have solutions, and if they do, there might be more than one. A problem with no solution isn't much use, and more than one solution puts us in a quandary. Engineering students grow impatient with those issues because equations that reach their classrooms almost always do have a unique solution. Suppose, for example, a fast-moving car hits a turn. It either rolls over or it gets around the curve safely. It doesn't do both. We'd better get just one solution when we solve the problem. It's cold comfort if our math tells us it will both roll over and get around safely. We need to know which will happen. Try another kind of accident. I have a long, slender glass rod, say 1 yard long and 1/8 of an inch in diameter. I stand it on end on the floor, then begin pressing downward on the top. Nothing happens, so I press harder. I finally reach a point where the rod suddenly bows outward and breaks. If I set up the math correctly, it'll tell me how much load the rod will take. But that solution is not unique. There's another solution. It has the rod bending into an S shape instead of simply bowing outward. More solutions also exist, a triple bow, a quadruple bow, and so on. Since the fancier failure modes take a lot more force, the rod usually collapses by simply bowing outward. We trigger that simple failure mode as we increase the load slowly, but suppose we add a greater load all at once, then those fancy collapses actually can occur. If you hold the glass rod by its end high above a concrete floor, then drop it, the load is applied so suddenly that the rod will collapse in one of those wavy shapes. I once did that. The glass broke into 6 pieces, all the same length. The rod had been wavy as a snake when it collapsed under an enormous shock loading. That taught me a fine lesson about the limitations of my work. Louis Pasteur once remarked that chance favors only the prepared mind. If I can paraphrase that, I'll say that rod taught me to expect surprise. Even though we've polished and honed our means of prediction, outcomes might still not be unique. Nature has all kinds of alternatives up her sleeve, and we'd better be ready for them. Swiss mathematician Leonhard Euler solved the collapsing rod problem in the 18th century. Determinism then appeared to be the way of the world.